Louisiana Congressman and House Minority Whip Steve Scalise joins me now. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Great to be with you, Kayleigh.
So, Congressman, do you think he's ready to compromise? I mean, his record certainly doesn't indicate that, but he did mention he's going to be talking to Kevin McCarthy this evening.
You know, we ran on an agenda, the commitment to America, so that we could at least show the country, if you give us a House Republican majority, these are the things we will do to confront inflation, high cost of everything you're buying at the grocery store, at the gas pump, how to secure the border, how to make sure parents could have more of a say in their kids' education, and address crime in communities. And so when we ran on those things, people really did respond, and you saw us win in a lot of places we haven't won in a long time. Obviously, there were some places we really would have liked to win that we didn't. But we're going to be flipping the House from Democrat to Republican, and we're going to be passing bills through the House. And I can't wait to see if Joe Biden says he'll work with us to lower energy costs. We know how to do that. It's going to be a question of, is he willing to work there to address those problems that are hurting families? Will he work with us to secure America's border and stop the more than 100,000 young people who died from fentanyl overdoses? That came up a lot in communities I went to all across the country. And a lot of those candidates, one who we're talking about it, is Joe Biden going to work with us to fix those problems? We're going to give him that opportunity by passing bills out of the House, and we'll find out. Hopefully he'll be willing to say, I'll sign those bills.
We hope so. I'm not holding my breath, but I hope so. You have announced your bid for House Majority Leader. This is going to make you the second most powerful Republican in the nation, really. And you have a history of consensus building with the USMCA, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Will you be able to form a consensus with what could be, we hope not, but could be a narrow majority?
Well, I know how to put coalitions together to do big things, and we did that under President Trump, as you mentioned, with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, Kevin Brady's bill to literally transform our economy and lift up everybody. Lowering middle-income families did the best from those tax cuts, and it got our economy moving again. Those tax cuts, a lot of them are expiring. We'd like to see making those permanent. Dealing with energy. Look, we were energy independent just 2 years ago. Gas prices were less than $2 a gallon just a little over 2 years ago. We know how to get there. I mean, I come from Louisiana. We know how to produce energy in South Louisiana and so many other parts of the country, but Joe Biden shut that down. And I think he was very clear about wanting to do it, but the voters said, we don't want America to be dependent on foreign countries. We can make our own energy cleaner, better than anywhere else in the world. We'll pass bills to do that through the Energy and Commerce and Natural Resources Committees. Will he work with us to sign those bills? So that's where I think having a track record, knowing how to work with people on both sides of the aisle to get big things done, that's something we can do. Will President Biden join with us and do that? Hopefully he abandons some of the radical left and the things that got inflation out of control, got crime out of control, got a border that's out of control.
Well, we spoke previously about oversight and how important it is. The president addressed that this evening. He was asked point blank about investigations that could take place by a GOP Congress. So I want to play that for you and get your reaction.
Republicans have made it clear that if they do take control of the House, that they want to launch a raft of investigations on day one into your handling of Afghanistan, the border. They want to look into some of your cabinet officials. They want to investigate you. They may even want to investigate your son. What's your message to Republicans who are considering investigating your family, and particularly your son Hunter's business dealings?
Lots of luck in your senior year, as my coach used to say.
I assume you will be pursuing oversight aggressively, as I think the American people would love to see.
Yeah, Kayleigh, oversight is one of the key components of any majority in Congress to be a check and balance on the administration who's in the White House and to ask tough questions. And frankly, I wish the president would be more candid with things like how many people have come across the border illegally and where have they gone. You don't know how many have gone to Florida. I don't know how many have gone to Louisiana. But we've asked those questions. They've refused to answer so far. We're going to get those answers. The botched Afghanistan withdrawal, the origins of COVID. There's so many questions that people have that we'll finally be able to dig into and get to the bottom of. And you've got people like Jamie Comer and Jim Jordan who are ready to go with good oversight to bring transparency to government.
I want to draw attention to just the victory that we did have last night. You know, this discussion, was there a red wave, was there not, all of this. That's all well and good, but the big result was, in fact, that Republicans haven't called it just yet, but it looks like poised to take the House, of course. No small victory there. That's a big victory, and particularly when you look, Congressman, House Republicans defeated a half a dozen Democrat incumbents. Mike Lawler defeating the head of the DCCC. Bright new faces like Monica De La Cruz, who are coming to Congress with you, John James. You have to be rather excited about these results, and they should be recognized.
Yeah, Kayleigh, and look, there's only been 4 times in the last 100 years where the House flipped from Democrat to Republican. This is hard to do. We didn't run saying we're going to have 250 seats. We said we're running to get control of the House, to have a Republican majority, to finally put some checks and balances on the Biden administration and pass bills that are good, bold, conservative ideas to get the country back on track. And so we won in a lot of places we haven't won before. Clearly, there were places I really wish we would have won. We lost some great new members. I mean, I think a lot of people were starting to fall in love with Mayra Flores, a great new member in Florida and Texas. She didn't come through last night, but Monica De La Cruz did. You mentioned John James, and I went and campaigned with him, with Mike Lawler in making a history there in New York. I mean, he's going to be a great new member. And look out on the West Coast. We still haven't gotten these numbers final yet, but Lori Chavez de Reamer could win in Portland, Oregon. That's no conservative bastion. And so it shows you, there's some real bright spots. Clearly, we can point to places where we wish we would have done better. But getting the majority is the first thing you do. And that allows us to bring bills to the floor that focus on us fighting for families that are struggling, as opposed to what the Democrats have done the last 2 years, just fighting to get more power in Washington for themselves at the expense of middle-class families. So that's what we're going to be doing, focusing on fulfilling the commitment to America, bringing those bills to the floor. We can do that with a majority. We can't do it with Nancy Pelosi in charge.
No doubt about it, and she'll be handing over that gavel. It will be a beautiful sight. Also, it will be wonderful to hear you as not minority whip, but majority leader Scalise. Thank you so much. You have a lot of people cheering you on.
Well, we'd love to have you come up and cover some of this in person in D.C. when we get it back. But thank you for having me, as always, and for what you do.
Love to do that. Thank you so much, Congressman.